That's from the debut album by the British band Mumford and Sons, who went on to win a pair of Grammys in 2012. With an eye to the Grammy Awards next Sunday night here on CBS, Anthony Mason has paid them a visit.
And I will wait, I will wait.
Mumford and Sons are one of music's most unlikely success stories. The British group broke through with a banjo-driven folk rock sound that Rolling Stone called like a horse and buggy designed in a Tesla factory. But with the release of Delta, their third straight #1 album, they are indisputably among the biggest bands of the past decade.
Were you surprised at how big your success was?
Definitely.
I thought you were going to go, not at all.
Winston Marshall and Marcus Mumford are one half of Mumford and Sons. Ted Duane and Ben Lovett, the other half.
Why did it work?
There's absolutely no explaining it. We've tried.
The quartet became acquainted through the London music scene.
We were the band rejects to start with.
You were?
Ted and I both got fired from the same band on the same day after one gig.
Why?
I think we took too much of the attention away from the lead singer. And he was an attention seeker. I mean, he was taking all his clothes off on stage and literally climbing the rigging.
So what were you doing to compete with that?
Playing quite well. He didn't like it.
In 2007, the four found each other when Mumford, who'd written some songs, wanted to put a band together to play them.
Who puts a studio under a train?
It's the cheapest real estate you can get. Right.
They began rehearsing in this London studio.
We're actually right under the train, right?
You'll hear it, don't worry. Here you go. Here it comes. That's the train.
It was here the band found its sound.
Singing together for the first time, I remember that vividly.
What do you remember about it?
I remember it sounding better than I thought it would. Me too.
Their debut album, Sigh No More, released in 2009, would sell more than 8 million copies worldwide.
And you shot your first album cover right here.
Right here, in this window.
Winston Marshall's mother owned the antique shop downstairs, while the band lived upstairs at the time.
I remember poor old Max Knight with his Hasselblad stood exactly in the middle of the road. It seems to be the best way to frame it. So his car's going to either side of it.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
How did you come up with the name?
It was born a little bit out of the antique store.
I guess we felt like we wanted it to feel like a family business, because that's sort of what it felt like. I sometimes wish my name wasn't in it. We've thought about changing it a few times.
You have?
Yeah.
To what?
I don't know.
Marshall and Sons.
Yeah, we should just rotate names.
These here are the Soggy Bottom Boys.
Marshall and Mumford also had both been inspired as teenagers
We hear that you pay good money to sing into a can.
by the soundtrack to the 2000 film Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
I think it was the power of the film, because it brought that mountain music to London city boys who'd never would have been exposed to that. It made it really cool. Like,
It glamorized it.
It glamorized it, that's
yeah.
it.
The place where he was born and raised.
In 2011, an appearance on the Grammys with Bob Dylan brought them more attention in America.
And the Grammy goes to
2 years later, they were back at the Grammys
Babel, Mumford and Sons.
when their second record won Album of the Year. Critics, though, were less impressed. Why do people hate Mumford and Sons so much? One British music magazine asked. The band was accused of playing dress-up with their old-timey attire and instruments, a charge they even parodied in one of their own videos.
Did any of that get under your skin?
The authenticity thing got under my skin a little bit. We definitely don't expect or even desire to be liked by everyone. That was a frustration to me, because it was just, I thought it was just narrow-minded.
It didn't stop Mumford's ascent, but in 2013, Ted Duane's emergency brain surgery nearly did.
How serious was that?
Is there a not serious version of
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
It's only been the last year where I've actually sort of really thought about it. I was like, that was brutal.
What exactly were you feeling?
But just felt like someone had just hit me over the head with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
And I was dizzy and my vision was gone.
While on tour, a blood vessel in Dwayne's brain had burst, but somehow he played for days before being diagnosed.
What did you think when they told you what you had?
I was so relieved.
That you knew what it was?
Yeah, my tour manager came out, he put his arm around me and was like, "You're gonna have to have brain surgery in the morning." And I was like, sweet, just make it go away.
Yeah.
It was the most incredible pain, and sure enough, I woke up the next morning. It felt much better.
Less than 3 weeks after that close call, the group headlined the Glastonbury Festival in England.
The reaction when Marcus said Ted's alive on stage with 100,000 people standing in front of us, the wave of emotion that came over everyone, I can't imagine what it was like for you.
Your shows must be so much bigger than they were in the beginning in terms of all of this.
Yeah, I know. But it's funny, when we look at each other on stage, that hasn't really changed.
They play arenas now, like London's O2, still chasing the excitement of a sold-out show.
I can tell you the ones that didn't sell out, and those frustrate me, because we want to sell shows out, because we just love playing live.
So do you ask before a show whether you're sold out? Or do you do?
Yeah, always.
That's when Marcus Mumford, the son of a minister, becomes evangelical.
And so there's some sense of abandon that we get to be at the heart of, which is an extraordinary thing. When you hit 18,000 people, it's an amazing feeling, It's a miracle, effectively. There's something in the power of congregation, That's cool.
Thank you very much, everybody, with Mumford and Sons.